sitting on a bar stool, kinda short and kinda square. Through the foam in his mustache, his voice filled the air. Talking about a state of mind, son. Talking about the state of Jefferson. It's a wave on a dusty road. It's a logger's heavy load. It's a cattle on the hill. It's a range full of thrills. It's a way of life. Settles in your soul.
Settles in your soul.
In your soul.
Yes, it does. Good morning, everybody. This is Terry Rapoza here at Mountaintop Media in the beautiful studio with my faithful producer, keyboard operator, soundboard operator, the bass man. He's waving. One of these days we'll get the bass man to speak. Anyway, we're here this morning. My partner, Win Carpenter, is on assignment. Hopefully he'll be back next week. And we've got some things to talk about this morning that I believe are pertinent. But all these things were written in 1770. Your city government. How does that relate to our freedom and liberty? Well, we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. And we're going to tie that all in to where it's going to be something that, God willing, by the end of this program, you'll understand exactly how we can utilize the Declaration of Independence in our daily lives and utilize it in what we have now in our local governments to stop the corruption. So, I'm going to start by reading the first couple of paragraphs. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. At this point, what Jefferson was talking about was, and going to talk about, as the Declaration of Independence goes on, is the reasons for separation, the tyranny of England, the tyranny of the King of England, kind of like the tyranny we have with the King of California, Gavin Newsom. By the way, this is Monday, and tomorrow is a wonderful day. Go out and vote recall Newsom. Vote recall Newsom. I'm sure that you can find a candidate that would be good to replace him. Frankly, I think a lamppost in pants would be fine. But really and truly, tomorrow, vote. Now, when the Declaration of Independence was written, it talks about, we declare the causes which impel them to separation. Well, we've already been there, done that. And a lot of times people talk about, well, we need to have a revolution. No, we need to have a restoration. We need to restore the rights that we already have. The rights that are unalienable, that are given to us by God. The rights that we have that are protected by the Constitution and the Constitution of California and the Constitution of whatever state that you're in. Now, we need to restore these rights. And, you know, as the second paragraph was written, Jefferson went into something that really was the depth of our liberty, the depth of our inalienable rights, the depth of where we need to be in fending off, defending our God-given rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. and institute new government. Now, as we look at that second paragraph, that ties directly into where we are as a country right now. It ties directly into where we are in local government, in your counties, in your cities, in your states. We hold these truths to be self-evident. What a great word. Self-evident. That means it needs no proof. It's self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Now, a lot of people say, well, look, we have constitutional rights. No, we don't have constitutional rights. We have God-given rights that are protected by the Constitution. The Constitution we have of the United States is the line in the sand which no one crosses. The government should never cross that. And the state that you live in also has a constitution. We'll get into that in a little bit. We have the right that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You notice that he puts among these rights. So we know that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what we always hear. But we have many other rights. We have the right to travel an ordinary course in one's life or business. We have that right. We have the right to privacy. We have the right to confidentiality. We have the right to be free. We have the right to hold property lawfully without trespass. That's an interesting position right there. Isn't your body your property? Your body is your property. Yet, the President of the United States, if you want to call him that, Biden actually is getting frustrated because people won't take the jab. He's telling the people of the United States that he's frustrated and tired of them not taking the jab. There is no right. There is no law that he can pass that can do anything to take away your right to your property and to protect it. The right to self-defense when threatened with loss, harm, or deceit. Does that apply? Think about that a minute. Deceit? Harm for trying to take something from us? From loss? You know, one of the things about this mystery COVID is that I know it keeps mutating, and of course that means everybody gets a booster shot, every 6 months? What about all the side effects that people have had? There's ball teams that can't even field the pitching staff, even though their pitching staff on these ball teams have been fully vaccinated. They can't even field the pitching staff because they have COVID. But wait, they've been vaccinated. At what point do we look at truth and lie? The right to be presumed innocent, suffering no detention or arrest, no search or seizure without reasonable cause. We have had that happen left and right to people. A pastor was actually arrested for holding a church service. How much more of this are we going to put up with? Also, the right to remain silent when accused. The right to equality in the eyes of the law and equal representation. Now, we've talked in Jefferson about representation since we started. What is representation in your county? Let's give an attaboy out here. Let's give one to Sutter County. Sutter County's Board of Supervisors stood between the government and the people, saying that they will not recognize any kind of vax passport. They will not be in a position where they're going to recognize that people have to be vaccinated. And they stood between the state and their county. And they're standing, and they wrote a resolution. And people say that resolution doesn't have teeth. Well, that's true. It doesn't, unless you're going to abide by it. Last week, we talked about constitutional sheriffs, the context of a constitutional sheriff and what that is. A constitutional sheriff is a brand. It's a name that Richard Mack gave to sheriffs that follow the Constitution. And I understand all that, but shouldn't every sheriff be constitutional? Don't they take an oath to the Constitution? Don't they take an oath to stand between tyranny and the governed? And you know, it's funny because the government is instituted by men and among men. The government's only position, the government's only reason for functioning is to protect the rights of the governed, to protect the sovereign. The right to trial by jury and impartial panel of one's peers. How many times have we seen people railroaded, especially of late? I won't even get into all the examples of that because most of you know what those are. The right to appeal in law against conviction or sentence or both. The right to expose knowledge necessary for one's rights and freedoms. Look what happened to the President of the United States. When Donald Trump was president, he isn't allowed to be on Facebook or Twitter. He isn't allowed to even, people aren't even allowed to say anything. If they do say something and the powers that be don't like it, they're racist, they're mean-spirited. But what is hate language? What is hate speech? What can be considered hate speech? The stretch has gone beyond the pale. The right to practice religion of one's choosing. The government mandate of not allowing people to go to church. See, here, the reason I bring this up, a lot of people may be saying, well, gee whiz, that happened in 2020. That's not going to happen again. Well, is it going to happen again? It could happen again. We have a new strain of COVID, and then there'll be another new strain, maybe another new strain on something that 98% of the people that get it recover from. How far do we want to go down the road till we stand? How far do we want to go down the road until we do what Sutter County's Board of Supervisors did? Or how about the San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors that will not allow in their county the people who work in the medical field to be subjected by any kind of state mandate? Sent their health director officer to Sacramento. To stand between, that's what a government is supposed to do. When the colonies became states, Jefferson made the comment that the state of Virginia is likened to the state of France, the state of Spain, the state of Great Britain. So a state is a country. We were 13 countries that got together. In those 13 countries, we created a compact that's different than a contract in that a compact is for legal governments, a compact between governments. And that's what the Constitution is. And then we created the federal government. I mean, if you can imagine making a chicken coop. You make this chicken coop, and you want to change the chicken coop, and the chicken coop says, no, you can't change me. Not only that, but I don't want to be a chicken coop anymore. I want to be a mansion. And you're saying, well, you can't be a mansion because I created you. If I want to tear you down and make you into a garage, I will. But then the chicken coop says, well, no, that's not going to happen. No way is that going to happen because I run things now. Your creation. Since when does the creation take over the creator? That's what we've allowed happen in the federal government. The right to be secure from abuse, persecution, tyranny, or war. Joe Biden is tyrannical. He's trying to force businesses with 100 people or more to be vaccinated or tested, or there's a fine from OSHA for $14,000 a day when it doesn't happen. Now, how insane is that? Is that legal? No. Why does it happen? Because we let them. To refuse to kill under command by reason of conscience. Think about that. How far down the road is the government going to take this? So vaccination today. If you don't get vaccinated, you lose your Social Security. That's one way for them to get rid of the seniors. Now, that may sound a little far-fetched, and it may even sound conspiratorial. But really and truly, ask yourself a question. Do you really put anything past the government at this point? Do you put anything past them? Look at the heroes, the people in San Joaquin that are elected officials that stand for the people. And the sheriffs that stand for the people. Problem is you can't really find them in California. Haven't seen any yet. Hoping to. Unalienable rights. The rights are given to you by government, then government can take them away. If man gives you rights, then man can take them away. If God gives you rights, only God can take them away. So we have the right to live in peace and be left alone when law-abiding. And each country, state, created their own constitution. The Constitution of California is pretty interesting when you look at the preamble. We, the people of the state of California, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom in order to secure and perpetuate its blessings, do establish this Constitution. Section 1, all people are by nature free and independent and have inalienable rights. Right there, another affirmation of what Jefferson said in the Declaration of Independence in the California Constitution. Among these are enjoying and defending life, liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property. Your property. Your body's your property. Your home's your property. Your gun's your property. And pursuing and obtaining safety, happiness, and privacy. Those are our rights. Every person may speak freely, write and publish his or her sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of this right. A law may not restrain or abridge the liberty of speech or press. That's Section 2 of the California Constitution, reiterating an inalienable right. Easy for me to say. Point being is that these are reaffirmed in the Constitution of California. Now, whenever there's a lot of supervisor groups in the counties a lot of supervisors that were not allowing people to even come in to speak. We all know it was shut down. It was crazy. And even to this point, they still are talking about different restrictions. I know Shasta County is again. They're talking about certain restrictions, social distancing, blah, 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 blah. Section 3 of the California Constitution, the people have the right to instruct their representatives, petition government for redress of grievance, and to assemble freely to consult for the common good. It doesn't say anything about you shall not do this, you shall wear a mask, you shall not do this because there's COVID. Most people have heard the story during the Revolutionary War about the pox. I believe at one point, I think 30% of the American army had it, maybe more. Our health is in the jurisdiction of our property. You can receive medication if you want or not if you want. We have a government now that's imposing its will on everything. Stop and think about this and ask yourself a question. Try to name one thing, whether it be the water you drink, the food you eat, the toys your kids play with, the clothes you wear. Name one thing that the government does not try to control, that your state, federal, or local government doesn't try to control, or doesn't control already. Have we lost our rights? Let's go back to Jefferson. Let's go back to the first part of the Declaration of Independence. We have a right, dare I say duty, to preserve the liberty for our posterity. We have that duty to do that. Section 3B, people have the right to access information concerning the conduct of the people's business. Therefore, the meetings of public bodies and writings of public officials and agencies shall be open to public scrutiny. We had a supervisor in Shasta County who brought forth a motion not too long ago that during the agenda, the public agenda, that anything that was an agendized item could only be spoken on during general comment period, 3 minutes. At least that's what it is in Shasta County, in most counties. 3 minutes. Now, every agendized item you should have public comment on. That has always been the norm. Doesn't that violate the fact that the writings of public officials and agencies shall be open to public scrutiny? Scrutiny is your right to redress that, your right to comment on that, your right to have an opinion on that. And that's what was trying to be taken away. Now, the same Board of Supervisors who passed that motion changed it the very next week. Because of the pressure the people put on. Kudos to the people. We have to find those heroes. Someone who will stand up. The people who stand up by themselves sometimes say, before they do it, I'm only one person. That's how it starts. One person standing for liberty. One person standing against the tyranny. No person may be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process. In order to ensure public access to the meetings of public bodies and writings of public official agencies are specified, the state of California must give you anything that is public record. Must. Now, a lot of people have said, well, you know what our county finally did is they said, well, we're going to charge you for this. Well, they can charge you for it, but you still, because of Section 3A, Section 3B, and Section 7 in Article 1 of the California Constitution, you can just tell them, hey, I haven't got any money, but I want it anyway. And the Constitution of California says that I can have it. Now, we've talked about government. Well, government is instituted for protection, security, and benefit. And all political power is inherent in the people. And they have the right to alter or change it when the public good may require. Shutting down your businesses is not the work of the government. It isn't anything the government is instituted for. The government of the state of California and the government of the United States don't have jurisdiction over those things. We let them. There's no law being passed. It's a mandate. A mandate by people who believe they can say or do anything they want without any repercussions. And that's really been the whole situation we've had. But what's the line in the sand? Well, it's the Constitution. Well, you know, we've had people in California saying that are in office saying, you know, gosh, it's the social contract. Well, no, it's not the social contract. What's that? You don't have an oath to the social contract. Take an oath to the United States Constitution and the California Constitution. And in Article 3, Section 1 of the California Constitution, the state of California is an inseparable part of the United States, and the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. You've heard us say this before. Some things that are law are not lawful. And some lawful things aren't law. What's the baseline for that? What's the template? What's the benchmark? The United States Constitution. Now, when you take your oath of office as a representative in the state of California, you have to sign this oath of office. So I'm going to read it to you. I, Joe, do solemnly swear to affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. Notice, the Constitution of the United States is first, State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and then I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. The duties, the obligation, the responsibility. Those are the things that we lack in most of our local governments. We don't have any lacking of tyranny. We don't have any lacking of a government trying to suppress the people. We don't have any lacking of mandates that are illegal. We don't have any lacking of fines that are illegal. We need to stand up. Here's the bottom line. How far do we need to go at this point? How far are we going to go at this point? People are riled up. You hear a lot of talk about, gosh, I think I've got a long driveway. They'll have to come and get me. If we don't unite together, if we don't bring clear-thinking people together, then we will lose our liberty. I've always believed that the pen is mightier than the sword. And I think that what we have to do is stand with what we know in the documents and learn about the law and how we can protect ourselves from tyranny. When we bring people together, we have to bring people together who actually are going to have the light bulb on, understand what liberty is, understand that it's not about somebody else doing everything for them. When you have a situation where people are diametrically opposed to liberty, diametrically opposed to the rights of other people, diametrically opposed to everything we believe in this country and everything we believe in our hearts and in our faith, they're not going to change their mind. Here's a simple fact for you. Pigs don't know pigs stink. Pigs don't know pigs stink. It doesn't matter. You're not going to change some people's minds. Jesus told the apostles, if they don't listen, dust off your sandals, go to the next town. We don't have time to, as my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, always said, we don't have time to dink around. We don't have time to screw around. And we don't have time for bullshit anymore. What we need to do is we need to stand united. Get together with the folks in your community. If you have a local community watch, which I think is a fabulous idea, that would take people actually patrolling their communities, patrolling their neighborhoods. Not a neighborhood watch, but actually the people doing it, citizens doing that. Getting together, going to boards of supervisors, getting good people elected, stand up and do those things. Now, the recall that we have in Shasta County has been a very interesting experience. Just in the simple fact that the people who started the recall, it was a grassroots effort, just a bunch of people getting together going, we've had enough. They have been challenged, they have been threatened, they have been intimidated, they have had DA investigators come to their homes for practicing a constitutionally protected right of a recall. State of California is one of 31 states in the United States that allows for a local official to be recalled. 19 states don't have that at all. I talked to my friend Jenny Beth Martin of the Tea Party Patriots not too long ago, and I was talking about the recall. I go, hell, we got to get this thing going. What are you doing in Georgia? Well, we can't recall local officials in Georgia. What they did do in Georgia, kudos to them, is they were tired of what was going on in schools and what was being taught there. They were tired of a lot of different things, so 1,100 of them went to one school board meeting, 1,100 people. When it was done, 2 people were off of that board. That's what it's going to take. Does this take anything physical? Does this take self-help? I don't know. What I do know is that we've lost our liberty. And we need to regain it. We aren't revolting, we're restoring. And we have to stand between tyranny in our children and our grandchildren. I mean, it breaks my heart. I see people standing outside getting vaccinations with little kids wearing masks. Little kids. Is one vax going to be enough? 2, 3, 4, 5? How many? Really and truly, this is the largest coup on the American people in history. I'll just say it. It is. A 98% recovery rate, and the President of the United States, God, I can't even call that SOB that. You know that? It's just too hard to even call him that. Biden. I mean, really, seriously, did he really win? No, of course he didn't win. Everybody knows he didn't win. Everybody knows that there was cheating. Everybody knows that he isn't the winner of that race. Everybody knows that. He can't even put two sentences together. I mean, what? He'd do his campaigning from a basement? He'd have 10 people show up at where he was? And he's the most popular president in history as far as a popular vote? Come on. The problem is good people don't do anything. They don't stand. They don't stand up and scream like Alyssa McEwen did, like Carlos Zapata did, like Kathy Stainbrook did. Standing for liberty. Linka Kaloma, my good friend, came from another country, understands what it's like to live under a communist regime. And have you noticed that people who come into this country from other countries understand liberty a lot of times more than we do? They understand what it's like to be under tyrannical rule and be able to do nothing. We still can do something. Again, I don't know if that means self-help. I don't know. All I know is we better get going because it ain't working what we're doing now unless we stand. All of us. Everybody has their own little pet thing. You may have your pet thing here, your pet thing there, your pet thing here. But the deal is we need to all get together and get that liberty back. 3 things. Number 1, without representation, nothing matters. Nothing matters. I don't care if you believe in geoengineering. I don't care if you think that the banks are bad. We have paper money. We need to trade in gold and silver only. I don't care if we trade in puka shills. If we don't have representation, our voices aren't heard, then we have nothing. If we don't have the protection of the Second Amendment and we can't fight back, dare I say fight back? I'll just say it. If we can't fight back, if we can't hold our ground, we have nothing. Every country that's been taken over by tyranny in history has lost a way to protect themselves. They have lost a way to protect themselves. Are we going to lose that? Are we going to allow that to happen? We need to come together, whether it be in community watches, neighborhood groups, local militias. We need to come together now. We need to come together and stand for our liberty. That doesn't mean going out and breaking the law, the real law, the laws that are lawful, the constitutional law. We have to stand now. If we don't do that, we lose. The third thing is, once we elect these people, and how many times has it been said, just throw all the bums out? I've said it. Pretty stupid, but I've said it. In the past, I have. But how does that do anything unless they have the opportunity to represent the people? Maybe one state assemblyman, or maybe in your state you call that a state house of representative, for every 5,000. And then a senator in your state for every county. Now you got representation. You can find the guy, talk to the guy, you can vote the guy out. People have said term limits. Well, we got term limits. The challenge is the incumbent keeps getting elected again because people don't care. They're so tied up in all their stuff, all their little things, remember their thing, whatever that is, that they don't see the big picture. It's easy. Representation, Second Amendment protection, and holding people that we elect accountable, along with giving them the apportionment in which they can do their job. But you need to hold them accountable. They have to be subject to every law we are. every law. We are no exceptions. We allow bureaucrats to run our country. We allow people to get into office because we're apathetic. I've done that. I voted for people just because I read the flyer and said, yeah, I'm raising my kids, he looks good. Let's see. Check. That's good. I'll vote for that guy. Really? Do I really know where the truth is? And is anybody else besides me tired of the platitudes of the people that get elected? Not really what we're going to do. How are we going to fix the problem? Well, here's how we fix the problem. We fix the problem by when we elect local supervisors, or depending on where you are, what state you're in, or commissioners to your county, we hold them accountable. And if they're not doing the job, we recall them. And we make the recall mechanism easier. You see, in Article 18, Section 3 of the California Constitution, people can change the Constitution of the state of California by initiative. A lot of people don't know that. Of course, initiatives are expensive, etc. Or maybe we can just go to that school board and tell those folks we don't like what they're doing, and 1,000 of us show up. Or maybe just one that stands that says, I will not submit. I will not comply. I will not comply against any law that is unlawful. I will not comply with any government that holds tyranny over my person or my family. I will not comply. We will restore the United States. We will restore it county by county. It's got to start with local government. It has to start in your own backyard. It can't start in the federal government. I know there's gazillions of programs and things going on there, and I understand what the president is doing. I'd say that loosely. What Biden is doing and with what the present administration is doing, what the left is doing right now is unconscionable. And we can fight it, and we should know about it, but it's still going to start in your local government. It's still going to start with your kids being taught. Look at the sex education for these kids. That's a whole other program. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what they're teaching them. How many genders are there? Really and truly? 5-year-olds being taught that? Is that okay with you? Is it okay that your kids are being taught that? Is it okay with the person who you're trying to convince? If it is, and that person's so far left, dust off your sandals and move to the next town. It's time for no more bullshit. It's time to quit farting around and get down to the bone here. And people like the Board of Supervisors in San Joaquin and the folks in Sutter County, the folks out there in all these different groups that are standing, we need to unite. We had a little get-together not too long ago. Well, it was actually last Saturday. And it was really good. It was a bunch of different groups from a bunch of different organizations getting together saying, how are we going to gain our liberty back? And now all of a sudden we're all fighting for the same thing. It goes back to the silver bullet. Without representation, nothing matters. We have to have the Second Amendment totally 1 billion% protected. There is no rules or regulations on the Second Amendment. Sorry, there isn't any. You have a government right now that trusts the Taliban with billions of dollars worth of weapons, and you have to go through a background check to get a box of 22s. Is that just me, or is there something wrong with that? Third thing is, the apportionment has to be something that when you elect that official, they actually can converse with their constituents. In California, we have one assemblyman for every 500,000 people. How does that even work? How would you even talk to those people? Or would it be the people who get to you, or the lobbyists? Of course it is. A senator for every 1 million people? Seriously? What if every county had one senator? I would submit to you every county should have 2 senators. And for every 5,000 people, there should be 1 state assemblyman. That's the way it should work. Period. End of sentence. That's the way it should work. Now you have accessibility to those people you've elected. And those people you've elected now have accountability to you, because if there's 100 of you that don't like what that representative is doing, you can get him out of office. You can get rid of the bum. So, yeah. We really have gotten down to the bone here. We really have gotten down to where we need to stand. And there is no more dinking around. You can't F around anymore. Can't do it. We're way past that. And we hold these people we elect accountable. They are accountable. They can be accountable with the apportionment, but they also need to be accountable to the same laws. Nothing special, no special privileges. Term limits, I don't know. I kind of go both ways with that. I mean, term limits are when you vote somebody out, right? Incumbents get voted back in California 97% of the time. You know why? Because we have an apathetic bunch of people in some people's minds. I think California is redder than a lot of people think. And I don't see how Gavin Newsom doesn't get recalled. I mean, have you seen the commercials on TV? He has backers like Barack Obama. There you go. Barack Hussein Obama. The Manchurian candidate. Unbelievable. You know, you look at all these different things, and that recall support, the people who are supporting not recalling Newsom are people like the Sacramento Bee, the San Francisco Examiner, really and truly. You know, the news media has been corrupt for a long time, but we put ourselves in a position where we're now believing everything we're seeing. Is that because that's the easy way out? And I know a lot of people right now that are listening to this and that will watch it are thinking, well, that isn't me. And you know what? It isn't you. It really isn't us. So what's going on? What we need to do is stand. We need to stand now. We need to stand for liberty. We need to stand for our children. We need to stand for our grandchildren. And we need to understand that life, liberty, and property, those inalienable rights, with the other ones I read, are all rights that have been given to us by our Creator. Not by a government, not by a bunch of people, not by somebody who has been a pundit, but has been given to us by God. Now, if you believe in unalienable rights, then what you need to believe is that rights come from God. If you don't believe in God, it's kind of hard to believe in that. But you've got to believe in right and wrong. Because sometimes there's two sides to every story. And sometimes there isn't. And sometimes there's an issue where you have to stand and not allow any room for the other side who is in the wrong to stand. Hitler probably thought he was a good guy. Osama bin Laden probably thought he was a good guy. Stalin probably thought he was a good guy. Lenin thought he was a good guy. But all those people that died, all those people that were put under persecution, all those people that were put under tyranny, don't believe that. It's right or wrong. That's where we stand. The responsibility is ours. I'm going to close by saying that we need to stand, if not for us, for our children and our children's children. And if not now, when? Time has come for 51. God bless you all.
58. Come out and play. Have you seen the bill we all have to pay? It's not our bill. We had no say. You don't serve us, you serve LA. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. You don't know us, you have no clue, and still you're telling us what to do. We don't know you or what you face. It's time to start a brand new state. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. Jefferson state of mind, carved from lessons we all learned through time. And to my new state, I will always be true. She's gonna shine in the red, white, and blue. It's really better off this way. The welfare you won't have to pay. You keep your royal pedigree. All we're asking is set us free. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. And in the end, it's very clear, anything that we hold dear will never see the light of day with California run this way. The time has come for 51. The time has come for 51. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. In a Jefferson state of mind. I'm in my Jefferson state of mind.